Hello, my fellow gamers. It's Jay Dreamer with GXP, and we are talking about free-to-play versus pay-to-win players. And let's jump into the highlights real quick. What is a free-to-play player versus a pay-to-win player? What is combat versus competition? What are some of the expectations and etiquette between the two different types of players? Also, we're going to get into alliances, and there's a specific type of alliance I want to recommend people to build, which is called a play and grow alliance. Mixes both players, both types of players, and I think it's really good for the state. Also, invest wisely, whether it's your time or money. So those are our highlights. So let's jump over and kind of take a look at what a free-to-play player looks like. When I first started out 11 months ago, almost a year ago, I didn't know much about the game. I'd never really played it before. It was all new. So I was just figuring out how everything worked, and it was fun. It's been a great game. But as you progress, you start to see a disparity. The game is geared to want you to spend money. They're here to profit off of us, the players. Let's address that. I know there was a boycott a couple months ago. I know that a lot of people were outraged because the gap between a free-to-play player and a pay-to-win player was widening so far. I do have to give props to the game company. They are making changes to recognize the community. That doesn't mean that they're going to give free-to-play players an ungodly amount of things to compete with the spenders. It's nice that they're recognizing the community and that they're paying attention to us somewhat. In reality, the free-to-play player is never going to grow as fast or be as strong as somebody that buys resources and advantages. The game offers those. That gap between the two types of players is wide. You're not going to compete with every single spender. Not going to happen. Not as a free-to-play player. But what is it inside the game that you're wanting to be good at? The biggest area you find the widest gap is in combat. Attacking a castle to a castle, that requires strength, requires heroes, troops, gear, and the gap between those that spend on those items and those that are free-to-play players is so wide that you can't compete head-to-head, castle to castle. So KE, having a kill event weekend as a free-to-play player is a mute thing. You don't do it. Just shield up and bunker down and gather like the rest of us. Resetting your expectations, saying that, hey, I'm a free-to-play player. There's no way I'm going to be able to jump into that state as a KE mastermind. It doesn't work. That's not the game you're playing. The game features that you control as a free-to-play player is your castle upgrades, your troop upgrades, your research, all these things you can control. And the farm, creating farms for resources is your number one equalizer against a spender. If you have 10 farms that are all C19 and you can hit them once or twice or even 3 times a week, and pull millions of resources out of them every time you hit them, guess what? You're going to get to T9s pretty quick. You're going to get to C26 pretty quick. Not as fast as them. Of course, they're going to be able to break the thresholds that a free-to-play player is bound by, but you can advance. And that's what competition is about. Getting yourself in a position and the right mind frame to compete in Reign of Chaos, to compete in Eden, to compete in Clash of Provinces. These are competitions that you can do very well in that don't require a credit card and don't require a massive amount of combat skills, because our only saving grace as a free-to-play player is the competition factors. There are some skewed sides when you start considering the alliance makeups and how an alliance that is really spend heavy goes into Eden as a full alliance and has other spenders joining them, they're going to be so much stronger and able to progress so much faster inside those competitions that they're going to get first place, second place, third place, depending on how many spending alliances there are. But play your game and be amongst people that encourage knowledge, leadership, communication as the guild or as the alliance, and you will hit very good targets and get very good rewards. And you have a chance of being in a competition environment that you can be first place, second place, third place, and compete against spenders, maybe not full spending alliances, but it's shook up enough that you can compete at a very high level without just being a spender. So free-to-play players, there's a lot of room for us in this game still, okay? So that, like I said, leads me to alliances, which the alliance that I'm in, we're a working class. We are a play and grow alliance. Since the beginning of our state, the spenders got together and they generally become the first most powerful alliance and kind of dictate over the state as the server begins and as the game begins. The balance of the game comes in play is as your alliances form, those that are spending alliances that move way forward, way fast, and other alliances start to build, if the free-to-play player offers value, because really the only thing a free-to-play player has is time. They can invest time. They can educate themselves on the game. They can help others around them understand the game better, learn and share ways to grow, and help that alliance become capable of competing in events. Etiquette means encouraging communication, encouraging knowledge to be shared, and growth as a whole. That's good etiquette. And that is what you should focus on building your alliances about. As far as expectations, you can't expect to compete with a spending alliance. They are paid to play and they are paid to win. And as a free-to-play player, you're not going to compete head-to-head with them. But the alliances start to shake things up a little bit by saying, hey, I'm not a huge spender, but I spend a little, and I don't mind being in an alliance with other people that are free to play. And the expectations aren't about spending, they're about learning, and they're about growing and being able to work with each other to either become leaders of your alliance or to build a culture together about growth and sharing knowledge and rewarding those that step up and support, making opportunities for others to grow. That is the right expectations for a free-to-play player to help in growing alliances. When you think about these big spenders, and I'm talking big spenders, you are never, ever going to win head-to-head, but that one big spender in a group of 100 people starts to balance out over time because they can't spin their way to a absolute control over the entire game. As the alliance powers grow and you develop your skill set and you can control the things that you know you can control without putting money in, it becomes a very good game from a group and team standpoint. No one can dictate how much you invest into your zone comm. That's you. And I mean, I might be able to buy some speed ups, or I might be able to get more diamonds so I can accomplish it faster. But I, as a free-to-play player, am capable of progressing that as fast as I can, as fast as I want, within the confines of my growth ability. So proper expectations. Don't expect to be the first if you're not throwing down large dollars. Don't expect to be the strongest. Don't expect to get things done first. Play your game, and be a part of a team that is producing great communication. With communication and participation, this game is fantastic. Back in the day when I first opened this account and the alliances were just forming, yeah, I was buying stuff. I mean, I may have spent $1,000 in the first 6 months in my one main account to get certain advantages, but now I am very limited. I am very particular about where I spend my money. And I would hope most people get that way quickly. Free-to-play players, they never ever spend money. They play the game completely money free, and it's a challenge. So respect that and understand that. If you're a spender and you're in a leadership role of your alliance, you cannot expect a free-to-play player to be able to take advantage of anything that comes with a dollar amount. It's just not that's not going to happen. So give them tasks that don't require money and give them opportunities to lead that don't require money. And those that step up become very intrinsic in your alliances. Those that don't, whether they're a spender or pseudo spender or a free-to-play player, they're just not, their makeup is just not a part of your culture. And that's what this game should be about, is getting the right people in the right groups that are around the right culture. Okay? Invest wisely, guys. At the end of the day, the dollars you spend influence how this game is built. So the more people spending, the more icons that we're going to see, the more IOI mentality of the developers we're going to see. The boycott did some really good things. It made them aware that the disparity is going to kill the game. So let's see what they do to give us free work and earn type of rewards that compete with combat skills. Outside of that, I'd say the game's pretty balanced in the sense of an alliance can grow and become very viable without spending. But combat, come on. If you're not a spender, you're not a part of that game. You're not a part of the combat game. So let's see what they throw down for that. And heroes, it's a long row with heroes. I've seen spenders, big spenders, quickly max out their legions with the newest S heroes. That's not a free-to-play player's game. Plan on investing your time wisely. Invest into the alliance. Invest into the long-term growth goal of becoming strong to compete in the events. And this is a great game. All right, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. Jay Dreamer, I'm out.